Cool. Love it when my headphones don't work. That's like one of my kinks. Love it. Love it. Absolutely a turn on. Okay. Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. If you guys haven't noticed, there are two new additions to the background. One of them is this awesome Spider-Man poster that I got for my 3-year anniversary with my girlfriend. So subtle flex, but there it is. And another thing, lights don't work. So now it's just an X. So now I just look edgy. So there you go. I don't know how to fix it. Does anyone know? Jesus. Does anyone with an electrical engineering degree know how to fix this tiny little thing? Because I have no idea. I replaced the batteries, and that's pretty much my knowledge of electrical engineering. There goes my entire set. Yeah, a lot of thought went into it, you know. Real creative. NX? Come on, Brandon. Who comes up with these ideas? Anyways. Today I'm talking about a movie called The Farewell, directed by Lulu Wang, starring Awkwafina. The Farewell is made by a studio that I have been in love with. They just dish out some of the best content ever. If you haven't heard of A24, it's definitely one to look out for. They recently released Midsummer, and they're releasing this movie coming out soon that I'm really excited about called The Lighthouse. And so they're really known for putting out some of the most interesting independent movies on the market right now in terms of films, and I think they're one of the most exciting studios out there. And I know Marvel Studios is like this booming industry where you can't turn a corner without seeing Captain America or Iron Man. There are movies out there besides comic book movies or Disney remakes. There are really great filmmakers out there, and there are really great actors who are willing to take on these roles and take these pay cuts just to show their art. So watch out for little studios like A24, Annapurna. Watch out for them. See what they have in store, because I have not been disappointed yet. And The Farewell is another addition to A24's filmography that I am extremely excited to talk about. So let's get into it. The basic premise of this movie is that Awkwafina is a Chinese American woman living in New York, and she finds out that her grandmother is passing away, and her relatives in China decide that it's best to keep the news that her grandma is passing away from the grandma herself, and just to fake a wedding so that they can all get together and celebrate and send her off correctly. And one of the great things about this movie, for me personally, is how it balances tone. I just feel like that this movie touches on something that I have not really seen or witnessed in movies. Speaking as, I hate to say it, but speaking as a minority, speaking as a Korean American, there's always been this kind of struggle with placing myself in a group, living in America, never really feeling like I belong in one section or the other section. Yeah, that was always kind of the thing growing up, and I feel like movies today don't really find a way to illustrate that for Asian Americans and represent that, and I feel like The Farewell does it so perfectly, and I feel like this movie for me is very special in that way, and the way that its message doesn't just speak to the Asian American community, but it speaks to all communities that have felt like the minority, who have felt like they have been out of touch from their culture. And this movie is really great at demonstrating this battle that Awkwafina kind of feels coming back to her homeland, coming back to China, and realizing that there's a lot of cultural differences, a lot of nuances that she's not familiar with, and there's a language barrier, but she speaks the language, but she is constantly reminded throughout the movie from her relatives that her Chinese isn't good. But from me being a non-Chinese speaker or non-Mandarin or Cantonese, or I don't even know which dialect she's speaking. So speaking as someone who's completely detached from what dialect she's speaking, to me it sounded very fluent, but to her and to the rest of her family there's this detachment. And I realize that when I'm speaking Korean to my family, or I feel like I've really nailed down a sentence in Korean, I say it and then people laugh, and there's this kind of disconnect that you feel when you can't even embrace the language, when you can't communicate with your family, when you can't illustrate how you feel to them because they don't understand a thing that you're saying. This movie is so great at illustrating that family goes beyond language and love goes beyond language, and that there are things that tie us together in the end. And Lulu Wang is perfect at directing this and the way that she shoots things. Speaking to one scene in particular, there's a scene where they're in a car and they turn this corner, and that scene alone and that shot alone, the way that Lulu Wang framed it, it left me in tears, man. I can't talk this movie up anymore. This movie is beautifully directed. Awkwafina pulls a very powerful performance, and she's mostly known for her rapping and her comedy, but she has dramatic chops in this movie, and you really feel the struggle. And that the fact that this movie is able to juggle so many things, make you laugh, make you cry, make you cringe, make you feel like you're a part of something, make you feel included, at least if you're a minority or as an Asian American or Chinese American specifically towards this movie. There's going to be a lot of things that you'll relate with, and that adds to your viewership. And if you don't find any relation to this, if you feel like you can't connect to this movie, then by all means, I understand how you might feel a little bit left out, but the main crux of this movie is on the shoulders of this grandmother and her relationship with Awkwafina's character. And the grandmother is so fantastic in this movie. I'm gonna butcher her name, but it's Xin Zhao. Zhao. I don't know, but I have to give her credit where credit is due. She is basically the star of this movie. I know that Awkwafina is headlining this movie, but she is truly the star. You can't help but adore her character. You can't help but just feel so much love and sympathy for her as she is unknowingly going through this wedding planning without knowing that her whole family knows that she's dying. And it's just this kind of blind happiness that she carries throughout this movie that feels so encouraging, that you just feel like the weight of what's going on the family's shoulders around her. She's the shining light. She's the hope. She brings everyone together and everyone's there to just be with her. And she is the most bright and positive person, and her performance in this is so captivating. There's a scene between her and Awkwafina at the end, and again, it brought me to tears. I was alone in a theater, just crying by myself, trying to pretend like my glasses weren't fogging up. This movie is pitch perfect for me, at least. And I can't keep going on about how perfect this movie connected with me. And, well, actually, you know what? Fuck it, I could. More movies like this need to come out that speak towards certain groups of people that have not been properly represented in film. And I feel like that this is a nice step forward. I want to speak towards whoever the viewers are who felt a connection to this movie, who felt like they were being spoken to, who felt like their identity was seen. I want to tell you that there are more movies like this to come. You can say you only like this movie because all the Asian people, but have you seen the movie? Go watch it. There have been times when I've watched a movie and I felt like it spoke to me in a very specific, particular way. And this movie is definitely one of those movies. This movie, I am so glad that I was anticipating it, and I'm so glad that it didn't let me down. This movie is special to me, not because I relate to exactly how this movie went down, but because of the themes and the messages in this movie, and the way that it's directed, and the way that it doesn't feel lazy, and the way that it doesn't feel like there was studio interference. And if you do some background on this movie, Lulu Wang was approached by, I think it was actually Disney, to tell her story, but they were trying to interfere with what her message was, what her vision was, and what her actual story was, because her story is her story. It's her life, and she wanted to direct it the way she wanted to. She wanted it to be smaller budget. She wanted it to be more intimate. And here's the thing, I'm not knocking on big studios. They make exciting movies. They push visual effects. They're exciting to watch. I love them. These smaller movies that speak towards a particular message, a particular group, these things that will live on forever, and they will be little parts of history, little moments that are captured. There's just nothing like it. And while I sat there in the theater, sitting down, crying, I realized that this is why I come to the movies. And I know I said that about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and that as well is why I go to the movies. But there are movies like this that I think transcend words. That's a lazy way of saying I have nothing else to say. I absolutely love this movie, and man, I don't give a lot of 10s on this channel because I haven't given a 10 on this channel. I am going to give this movie a 9.8 out of 10. Subverting your expectations. 9.8 out of 10. That's close to perfect. That's a A+. Damn, go see this movie when you get the chance. Farewell, excellently directed by Lulu Wang, excellently acted by Awkwafina, which, yeah, it's weird to say that name, her stage name, her rapper name, but damn, do not let the name fool you. She is a bright star who is going to take on so many more roles. She's going to be in Shang-Chi. She's working it. She's doing great. So yes, and much credit to, I'm going to butcher her name again, Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao. Someone correct me. What a beautiful performance, and I'm excited for you guys to go see it. I encourage you to go see it immediately. It was a limited release for a while, but as of last week, it went wide release. So now you can go watch it at your local AMC, possibly Regal. I haven't checked, but I know that AMC is playing them at most locations. So go check it out. Please go see more movies like this. Film is not dead. It's not all Marvel. It's not all DC. It's not all comic books. It's not all Disney remakes. Poo-poo on whoever says that's all that's coming out. There are great movies coming out and more great movies to come, and that is why we are excited about films. So, like always, guys, I will see you later.